Recording is on. Welcome and good morning, everyone, to our course on church and ministry administration. Let's take a moment to pray, and we will get started. Is the mic with Bimal or anyone can pray, please?
Thank you, Father. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for this class, Lord. As we are going to study, Lord, you give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and prepare our hearts that we can receive, Lord. And I surrender Pastor in your hands as he is teaching, Lord. Lord, you bless him and you bless us, Lord. All the students who are studying, you bless all, Lord Jesus. All glory and honor to be your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Okay. Morning, everyone, and welcome once again. So we will continue from where we stopped last week in church and ministry administration. Feel free to ask questions. There's nothing very difficult, but it's more of learning all the practical things, how to run a church or organize a church, administer a church or a Christian ministry. We are still now in lesson number 7, church staff management. And we are on page 25, employee management. Right? We are going to talk about how do we take care of our employees. Any questions till this time, like talking about church staff and managing church staff, all of that? Okay, everyone's fine? Employee management. So how do we take care of our employees? Right? One is motivation. How do we keep our church staff motivated? That means they should be excited about their work. Going to work shouldn't be, I have to go to work because, I have to work. But they should be really excited that, hey, this is a wonderful thing, that I can get up in the morning, get ready, go for work, enjoy my work. Yeah. So what are some things we can do so that they can, of course, give their best, they can be creative, serve with passion, so on. So, of course, it's important for us to give everybody meaningful work, right? Work that they find, it's not just routine, doing something, but there's meaning in it. That what I'm doing is contributing towards something. It's contributing towards the kingdom of God. It's contributing to helping somebody else, or whatever that person finds meaningful. And of course, for us in Christian ministry, it is to glorify God and it is to serve people. Right? As long as what we do helps us achieve that, we can definitely find meaning in our work. And people need freedom to make choices, but at the same time, freedom doesn't mean you can do whatever you want, because there are a lot of things to be considered. Obvious things would be money, time, effort. Things would be, is it aligned to where we want to go? Is it according to the policies that we would want to practice within our context? What may be okay in a different church or in a different context may not be okay for us, right? For reasons that we understand. So there is freedom, but there are guidelines, there are boundaries, and so on. So also people need to have work that leverages their competencies. Right? Many times people struggle or people don't like work not because the work is bad, or because, let me put it like this, because there's a mismatch between what they are good at and what they've been assigned to do. When there's a mismatch in terms of what are their strengths and what the work requires, then they will struggle. Then very soon they'll not like the work. So it's so important to give things. Of course, we want to stretch people. We want them to go beyond where they are, but at the same time, it should be aligned to what they can, stretch themselves into. So according to their competencies. A work that encourages personal growth. So we want to help, encourage people keep growing, keep learning, pushing your boundaries of skills and knowledge and all of that. And then we can highlight progress. So when people are doing well, when people are doing the routine work, okay, that's fine. You're supposed to be doing it. But when you go beyond what you're doing, when you're doing exceptionally, go beyond, then we can highlight that, hey, somebody's doing good here, or somebody's doing good there. Cheer that person, highlight their work. Just letting other people see that so-and-so is doing well, is doing beyond what they're called to do, will be a big motivation to them and an inspiration to other people. We can engage and involve people in the decision-making process. So according to their abilities, involve them in making decisions so that also they feel good about it. Provide positive reinforcement, say thank you, good job, so on. Visible appreciation, that is, appreciating them in front of others. So we can't always give for every good work. We can't go, so, okay, I'll give you more money. You can't do that, but at least we visibly appreciate them. Yeah, that's a way to keep it'll help people stay motivated. Trusting the team, that means you say, okay, you go get it done. I trust you to get done. You go think through it. You solve the problem. You get to the result. Most people will like it. Some people may not like it because some people want, tell me all the steps and I'll follow. So it depends on the people. Some people are like, you just tell me what to do and I'll do it. They're afraid to think independently. They're afraid to take on responsibilities. So they don't like that. But there are other people who want that freedom. I'll get it done. Don't worry. Trust me. So depending on who they are, different people you have to work with. We can coach and with feedback and inspire them with your own life. Like the biggest thing is, as leaders, it's not just about telling people what to do, but when you lead the way, that means when you yourself get down to it and do it, you're giving others no excuse, right? So if I, as a leader, I'm only telling people, you do this, you do that, but I myself am not doing my work, very soon people will see that. And what will happen is they themselves will, start neglecting their own work. Why? Because they say, hey, he is not doing his work, right? He's not producing something substantial. All he's doing is telling others what to do. But when as a leader, you produce work, you actually do the work, then others don't have any excuse. And they say, hey, he's doing it, I also have to do it. So it's so important as a leader that we don't just lead by words, but we lead by our actions, right? So that's what inspires others. When they see you do it, that he's delivering on whatever he's responsible for, it'll challenge others to inspire them as well. But at the same time, we must be aware that there are demotivators. So that in a work environment, there are things that demotivate people. It makes them lose interest or passion in work. Some of those demotivators are employee turnover, meaning if too many people keep leaving, in some way it affects the morale of people, right? It's like, why are so many people leaving? Okay? Now, of course, people leave for good reasons. Like, okay, Pastor Roshan left us earlier this year. It was a good reason. Like he got a better opportunity. He wanted to serve. And okay, so that's a good reason. Fine. But if too many people are leaving for whatever reason, good reason or bad reason, if there are too many people leaving the organization, it affects the morale of people, because people wonder, is there something wrong here that I'm not seeing, which is why all these other people are leaving, right? So we have to be careful about employee turnover. That means, see, we cannot forcibly hold people. Right? We don't control people's lives. We can't forcibly hold people, and for various reasons, people will leave. But the best we can. We have to give them a reason to want to stay and work. Some things we can't avoid, like if somebody gets married, like, usually happens, right? They're with us for some time, then they get married, they're going to get married. When they get married, they have to move to some other city, country. Of course, we have to let them go. We can't say, you stay. So there are those reasons which are outside our influence. But within what we can do, we should be careful. Because if too many people leave, then it affects others. The morale is. If the workplace culture is difficult, like if there is too much of pressure, too much of strife, competition, lack of cooperation, not enough support, if people are hostile towards each other, sometimes even very in a very subtle way, they could be pushing back against each other, all those things. If too much of that is there, then the workplace becomes very difficult. And nobody wants to work like that, So that will really demotivate people. So we will talk about culture. Okay, it's very important in an organization, Christian organization also. And sometimes, not sometimes, but the fact is, I have seen and heard, about, talking about local Bangalore, Christian organizations, whether the culture inside the organization is not good. It's very harsh. So the thing is, we think, Christian organization means it'll be nice. But actually, it's not like that. Even within Christian organizations, there's a lot of politics and a lot of negative things happening. So obviously, people would not want to work or will not feel happy working. Sometimes they keep working because there's no other choice. That's a job I have to do. I can't go find a job anywhere else, difficult. So I just keep working. But they don't feel really excited about work. They do the work for the sake of doing it. And it's not a good environment, Sometimes reorganization can become a demotivator, so we have to be very careful. Now, in any organization, there will be times when you have to rearrange people, reorganize. Okay, you are doing this now. Okay, now you do this, and you're doing this now. We change the roles, all that. It is inevitable. It means it will happen because people are growing. People have to grow, so you'll have to rearrange. But you have to be very careful how you do it. A simple example recently was for North, APC North. So actually, towards the end of last year, Pastor Nancy had shared that so when she had taken over being principal of Bible College, she was pastor of North, associate pastor of North, and then also taking on this role of principal. Initially it was okay, but towards the end of last year, she shared that the workload is too much, right? Where and we can understand because we were trying to expand the Bible College, like 3 learning options, more students, and we don't have an administrator. So she's basically doing 2 roles, principal and administrator, because still we don't have. We're looking, we have interviewed, but we haven't found. So she is not just principal, she's principal and administrator and pastor of North. So the load was a lot. And administration of Bible College is a lot because everybody's mark sheets, grades, exams, attendance, admissions, all these. These are careful, right? So she had told me end of last year, it's getting too much. I said, okay, you just hold on. We'll look for somebody for North. When we find somebody for North, we'll think, but it's not easy to just find somebody and because you be pastor. It's not easy like that. So time passed, and then earlier this year, again, I think it was February, she said, again, she shared with me, but she said now the weight is not only being felt by her, but also by the admin staff. At that time, there were 2 of them, Avinash and Nirantari. They're also feeling it because they're not getting any day off. Monday to Friday, then Sundays, Saturday, Sunday, there is services happening, all those things are going on. And they're also involved Oh, so okay. Then I said, okay, I have to do something soon. What to do? But I couldn't think of who can take up North. Then anyway, so I think it was I forget which month. Anyway, somewhere. So I said, okay, who can take up North? You just prayerfully praying about it because we need to find the right person. You can't just put somebody there. And that's when, after a few months, I forget which month, then I thought about Vinay, who's he's now just gone to second year because he's already working as a church staff. He's in member care. And we had a chance to observe him for a year. So I said, how about, we can't appoint him as a pastor right away, but at least we can start preparing him. So I think it was in June, that I began the conversation. I forget whom I spoke to first because he's reporting to Pastor Jay Kumar. So I have to speak to Pastor Jay Kumar, get his permission. I have to speak to Pastor Nancy, get her permission. Then I have to speak to Vinay also, So reorganization is not a very easy thing, right? You can't simply, because a lot of other people are involved. And then the congregation is also involved because how will the congregation take it, right? Pastor Nancy's been there for 10 years plus. So it's not so easy to tell them, hello, your new person is coming today. It's not that easy. So anyway, so I had the conversation one by one, I spoke to Pastor Ekam. I said, see, okay, this is it, but it'll affect member care because he's working in member care. Then also spoke to Pastor Nancy, are you okay? So one by one, they said, okay. Spoke to Vinay, it's more responsibility. You have to manage everything. It will take 2 years before we actually appoint you as associate pastor, but it's like you'll be in training and we'll be there to help you. So everybody said yes. Then we had a discussion with Pastor Nancy. Okay, how are we going to inform the congregation? That's a big thing, right? Vinay is already serving there in North. People already know him, but to bring about a change is not easy. And I've observed this many times in the past. Whenever we made a change, the congregation, we have to be very sensitive because it's not easy for people. Okay, somebody has been their pastor. Now, they know the other person. Not the other person is bad or anything, but for them now to, see somebody else come, it's not easy. So we discussed. We said, okay, first you share last month, August. So you first share, just inform. Then I'll also come. I'll also inform. And then slowly we'll begin the transition. But you be there for some time, like it's not like suddenly you just say, okay, Vinay is here, and bye-bye everybody. You cannot do that. So reorganization has to be done very carefully, right? So that's kind of what we're doing with the North. So last Sunday I was at North. I again explained to everyone. And slowly people are, when Nancy, in August, when she shared, she did say some people started crying. like some people felt it, and it's not like she's leaving us, just that small change, but she's been there for over 10 years, right? So emotionally, it can affect the congregation. So, but she said they were fine, like slowly it's settling in, So then I also showed them. And then it's going to happen over 2 years, So we'll be there. Vinay will take responsibility, but only after 2 years we'll actually appoint him as, if he does well and all that. So that's one type of reorganization, which is pastoral, changing pastoral responsibility. We are doing it very carefully in a way that the transition is smooth, So, and this we've done many times, at APC East also. I was there in the early years, and then we appointed Pastor Brian. There was one pastor, but even then I used to go there. So even after we appointed him, I used to keep going there at least once a month, Initially, maybe twice a month. So that whole transition has to be done over time. Otherwise, it can affect the morale and the atmosphere. That's pastoral, but even within the organization, when we're changing roles and saying, okay, you do this now, you do that now, we have to be careful. Some may be easy, especially if you're starting something new, it's okay. You're not affecting too many people. But if it's a reorganization and you're affecting other people, you have to be sensitive to people's feelings. So we have to do very careful. Increased workload. So sometimes if the workload is too much, we want people to work hard, we want people to stretch, but sometimes if the workload is too much, it can demotivate people. Sometimes personal challenges, where they're coming to work, but on the personal side, they may be going through issues. So that can then impact workplace. So we have to be sensitive to these things. So if we see somebody not being motivated or struggling in their work, they're not performing as expected, we will have to address that. We will talk about it, how we go. So again, see what I've noticed in Christian organizations. And this is a flaw. Where if somebody is not performing, they still keep quiet. Don't say anything. Why? Because we are supposed to show grace and we are supposed to be kind and all that. And so what happens, and I've seen this, and so what happens, people are left in their roles for years, they keep going, but they're actually not performing. They're not actually doing what they're supposed to do, even at the bare minimum level. Technically, everybody has to keep growing and doing better year after year. And so what happens is overall organization suffers. Overall organization, there is a waste of time, effort, and money. Then they'll have to hire, for one role, they'll have to hire 3 people because the person in charge is not doing their work. So they'll have to hire maybe 1 more or 2 more to get that work done. And actually it's a waste of money. And it's all because the organization is not willing to address the matter in the name of, we are a Christian organization. So we have to talk about that. How do we do it right? And what is our thought process in that? We'll have to discuss. We'll do it. So all with me so far? All okay? Yeah. Then employee satisfaction. Now, how can we find out whether the staff are happy or not? Right? So obviously the best thing to do is ask them. Right? So when we were a small organization, I could talk to everybody. If you have 10, 15 people, it's easy. You can talk to each one. Are you okay? Are you happy? Everything's fine. Okay. But then when you have, 30 more and we have 30 plus staff, 30 plus consultants, all those people, I personally cannot meet everyone. So what we have to do is we do it through a survey. Like we tell people, fill up a form, share your thoughts, and the HR will check it, and then we look at the feedback. Right? So we try to do this feedback. We have these reviews for every staff in June and in December or November, and we started off in November, December. It's an opportunity for us it's called performance review, where we can review their performance, but they also have a chance to give feedback. And also we will conduct at least once, maybe sometimes twice a year, a survey. That is done by HR. A little questionnaire. In fact, we're getting ready to do it now, where employees meaning all our staff and consultants, so it's about 60 people, who will give feedback. How about you? Are you happy with your work? There's a lot of questions about the environment, about their team, about what resources we're giving them, anything. Yeah, and then there's also some open-ended questions they can share. So it's a way for us to ask people, our staff and our consultants, are you happy with what's happening? And also you can give feedback, right? And we keep it anonymous. That means they don't have to be afraid that their name is coming with their response, right? They can say what they want. We won't know specifically who said it unless they say, this is my name. That's up to them. Or I'm working in this team, or this is my role, then obviously you'll get to know. But if they don't say all that and they just give the feedback, it's anonymous, we won't know. But it's something for us to consider. Right? And again, the feedback we will review, the HR will review everything. And whatever we can work on, we will work on. But it's serious, it's important for us. If there are things that we cannot work on, then obviously we can't do anything about it, especially if we don't have the capacity. But otherwise, we'll do our best to take that feedback and to act on it, to work on it. So, any questions? Now, the other thing we do is two things. I'll combine these two: annual planning document and regular review meetings. So what we tell people, which happens usually, like I said, in November, December. Previously, we should do it in January, but then we moved it to November, December, where all our staff, each person, fills out like a review document, and they write their own plans for the coming year. What are your plans for your ministries for the coming year? Right? So at least once a year, we make them stop and think about what you're doing. What are your plans? Plan for at least the next 3 years. You're not saying that everything is going to go according to plan. Most of the time, it won't, right? But at least you're thinking. And you're saying, okay, this is what I will work towards. Everything goes well, yeah, we will move in that direction. But there could be other things that happen which might keep us from arriving at those goals. But at least we set some goals for ourselves and we plan, So this again, I think, is an important part. And I don't see this being done in many Christian organizations where every person is asked to plan for next 3 years. For your ministry, whatever you're in charge, you write your plan. Yeah, these are things again. And then, of course, their immediate leader will review it. And the leader can say, oh, okay, change like this, or don't go in that direction, go like this. Because sometimes they may have a plan to go in a different direction, which may not be aligned to where we want to go. So we have to say, no, not that, but do this. Or we could say, how about going like this? They may not have thought of something, but which is important for the organization. We can say, please plan to do this, right? So, but the thing is, at least once a year, they're sitting and thinking about it. Then in June, the goal is to review how you're doing based on your plan. Right? We're not expecting everything to happen by June. It won't. But at least, are you moving in the direction you felt you should go? Right? And of course, the planning is done by praying and seeking God. Right? Each one has to pray and seek God for their ministries. So planning is not simply randomly writing something. No, it's what do you feel God is wanting you to do for your ministry? Go for it. Now, I remember, I think what I really appreciate was Pastor Selena. She handles two major things, which is the children's church curriculum, and she started and runs a program called Catalyst, which is for schools, going into the schools. So what I appreciate was before COVID, we were doing very well. So we were at one point, I think in, I don't know, forget all the numbers now, but I think we were doing like 5,000, 20 or 25, more than 20,000 students every week in so many different schools. I forget the number, 11 or 13 or whatever the number was, before COVID. That means, can you imagine, like every week, our team, Catalyst team, would be teaching 25,000 students Bible in the schools. You know, it had reached that point at one point. Then COVID, everything stopped. Everything stopped. So for 2 years, almost 2 years, nothing. And to add to that, around just before that, I think, was the anti-conversion law passed in the state of Karnataka. That was passed. So many schools, even Christian schools means owned by Christian organizations, became very careful about having chapel, Bible, Christian song in the school, because this anti-conversion law, people can say you're trying to convert the children. You know, so both this were happened around the same time. So when we were after COVID, when things were starting up, both Selena and I were feeling very bad, because now we have to start from zero. We have to go back to the schools, ask, can we come? We are from a church. And then the moment you ask, they're thinking about anti-conversion. You know, so all those challenges. But initially, maybe two, three schools opened. So I was telling Selena, see, if this is not going to work out, it's okay. We can close the program. Don't feel bad. The conditions are like this. But I remember how determined she was in her planning. So she has to plan for the coming year. Coming year, I will go at least 6 schools. I'll get. Very determined. You know, and sure enough, so she had the plan. Sure enough, the next year, New Year, she went and knocking on the schools. So again, it was at that time, it was very difficult, because we're coming out of COVID and the anti-conversion rule. People are still being very careful. You know, now things are a little bit more open, but so she made it. The following year was, I think, 5 schools were open. Then next year, I will make it 12 or something. And she went. So now, again, I don't know the exact number. It's something more than 10 schools that we are working in, you know. But she not only wrote the plan, but determined to go get it done. You know, determined. And she'll go. And that is contagious, because then other people in the team will also start doing that. You know, when they see the leader, like Selena, doing that, others will say, we'll also go and knock on schools. We'll also see what to do. And so like that, more schools opened up. So this annual planning, each one is setting their goals and they're going after it. You go and you work and make sure it happens. And then we review that progress during the course of the year. Any questions so far? Okay. All right. So let's try to talk a few other things here. Handling underperforming employees. This is the bottom of page 25. Right. So how do we do this? This is a very difficult thing, but it's also an important thing, because when you look at it from an organization perspective, you have to think that the organization's resources are being spent, time and money, and also organization's objectives. Are we able to achieve what we want? right? So if a person is not doing their work well, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. You have to think about this from an organization perspective. There's time, there's money, and very importantly, the objectives. What the ministry should be achieving, going, is not being met. So yes, that person is a believer. Yes, that person is a good person. Yes, that person is, maybe very, whatever, good believer, spiritual, this, all of those things. Very good. We're not questioning all that. But when it comes to work, we have to look at these things, right? So we didn't, like I tell myself, we didn't hire that person just because they're a good person, right? That was a criteria. I mean, that's a criteria. We didn't hire them just because they were a believer. That's one of the underlying criteria. But the reason was we hired them was because of certain skills or certain work that they will get done. Right. So now we have to very objectively assess that. Right. So usually the approach we take is give them three times we have to give them, 2 times we have to give them feedback. And if the third time there's no improvement, then we have to do something about it. Right? So we call it 3 strikes. 1, 2, third time, we have to do something. Take some action. So if somebody's not doing their work well, you have a conversation. Say, hey, look, I was expecting this, but it's not happening, or this and this is happening. These are too many mistakes are being made, or whatever the problem is. You have to address it once. Give them feedback and say, please work on it. We'll watch for another 3 months, 6 months, whatever that period is. We're giving them some time to work on it. Then, if they do well after that period, 3 months, 6 months, fine, good, no issues. Keep going, keep growing. But if they haven't done well, that's the second time. So, okay, see, we spoke about 3 months ago or 6 months back. We discussed it. We've gone through another 3 months or 6 months. Things haven't changed. These are the same problems happening, or whatever. Whatever the issue is, you address it. And say, look, I'm going to give you another 3 months. So now we're giving them a second, first, second. Now, no, I'm not saying all organizations follow this. I'm just saying what we do at APC. Some organizations, first time, and they'll give you one warning and send you out. It's all up to them, right? I'm just saying here, we try to do this, follow this approach. So we'll give one more chance, okay? You need to improve. We're giving you feedback, and we'll give you so much time. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. And if you don't, then we'll have to do something. Either change your role, change your responsibilities, put you in a role where you're good at, or something. You have to make a change on. And if you can't find a place for you, then that'll be the end of your employment. And so then we see. If things work out good, it's okay. After 3 times it doesn't work out, sorry, you'll have to take action. So that's how we handle these when things are when the performance is not meeting the expected level, right? And we have, wherever possible, we try to have face-to-face meetings whenever we want to discuss difficult matters. When somebody is doing well, you just send them a good message, how good, whatever is fine. But if it's a difficult issue, try to do it face-to-face. And this was mistakes I used to make in the beginning, like when in the early days of church, especially if people are working from home or something, I'll just send them an email. But the problem is, in an email, the tone and all of that, it's left to them to interpret. You may have written it with good heart only, but they read the email and they think, oh, he's very angry, he has fire and smoke coming out of his eyes, and they think like that. The imagination works because they're only reading text, right? So I said, okay, as far as possible, try to meet in person. If you cannot meet in person, at least do it over a video call or something. And the last thing is, okay, if you can't meet, can't speak, fine, then you have no choice but to do it by email. And also put everything in writing. So, of course, for us, email is a written form. So an email that you send is a record, a written document that, you know, you've addressed an issue, you've told them they need to work on something, you've told them you're giving them 3 months. So it's always good. Those kinds of things, you always put it in writing, because they will forget. Sometimes you also will forget. Right? Oh, what did I say? Did I say 2 months? Did I say 3 months? Like, you know, you forget. So it's better to put it in an email and say, like, oh, we're going to review after 3 months, so on. So there's no confusion. Okay. So we'll let's see. Okay. We'll pause here. Any questions? Let me just check online. All right, there's a question online. Let me just check, quickly answer it. Biju's asking, in your experience, do you think somebody who's from a secular job background in a leadership position can play a better role in the ministry as far as some of the people skills or the management skills are concerned? Yes, you know, somebody who's had that experience will really help. Whether now there is, so I mean, my immediate response to your question, Biju, is yes, definitely. Somebody who's had experience with people skills, management skills, leadership skills will help. The only thing is that we can't directly take, you know, what we learn or what we use in the secular or in the corporate sense and apply it directly into church, because here in a Christian context, a church or a ministry context, those same skills are required, but we have to do it in a little bit more, I would say, a graceful manner, right? So sometimes, see, in the corporate, you can be really harsh. You don't care. You know, somebody doesn't do it, just give them a letter, finished, it's over. Here you're trying to be a little bit more sensitive, graceful, and also especially because many of the people who are staff are also part of the congregation. So they're not like, they're people whom you're going to meet 7 days a week, you know. So they're not only church staff, but they're also members of the congregation. And not only them, but their families would be part of the congregation. So the dynamics are a little, or not a little, but quite different. Whereas in a corporate, that person comes to work, he's not performing, send a letter, you don't even know anything else about them most of the time. You're not worried. You can give them a letter and say, thank you very much, it was over. Here it's not like that, because there's so much more involved. So I think if we need to adapt those skills, and whenever we are framing decisions, making decisions, look at it from that perspective. This is a Christian organization, but also a church is involved, a congregation is involved. And so then it'll definitely be good. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. I know for some of us, you know, like you may not be applying these things right away, but in the future, right, when you are leading your organization, working in a church or a ministry context, keep these things in mind when you're working with people, leading teams, because these are very important in a Christian organization. Right, so right after the break, we will complete this. There's just a few more things to cover. One last page on page 26. We'll talk about how we develop employees and some difficult situations, etc. We'll just look at that and we'll finish this lesson. All right. So let's resume at 11 and we'll finish this lesson. Thank you.